The tension under the mango tree was palpable as Femi and Fumi sat down, their still damp clothes clinging to their skin. Elder Marcus's piercing gaze moved between the twins, his weathered face unreadable. Chioma stood to the side, her hands twisting her apron nervously. "Femi, Fumi," Elder Marcus began, his voice grave. "I saw you at the river this morning. You were far out in the water, and it seemed as though you were talking to something or someone." Femi felt his heart racing, but he fought to keep his face neutral. Beside him, Fumi tensed, her mind working furiously to come up with an explanation. "We were just swimming, Elder," Fumi said, her voice steady. "It's been so hot lately. We thought an early morning swim would be refreshing." Elder Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Is that so? And I suppose you often swim out to the deepest part of the river, where the currents are strongest?" Chioma gasped. "The deep part? Femi, Fumi, you know that's dangerous. What were you thinking?" Femi opened his mouth to speak, but Elder Marcus held up a hand, silencing him. "There have been reports," the elder continued, "of strange occurrences in the river. Unusual creatures, mysterious sounds. And now, I find the two of you out there, behaving suspiciously." He leaned forward, his eyes boring into Femi's. "Tell me the truth, boy. What did you see in that river?" Femi felt as though he couldn't breathe. He couldn't betray Adana, but he also couldn't lie to an elder of the village. He looked to Fumi for help, but she seemed just as lost. It was Chioma who broke the tense silence. "Elder Marcus," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Surely you're not suggesting that my children are involved in anything unnatural?" Elder Marcus sighed heavily. "Chioma, I take no pleasure in this, but the safety of our village must come first. If there is indeed some sort of creature in our river, we must know about it. We must protect ourselves." "Creature?" Fumi exclaimed, feigning shock. "Elder, with all due respect, what are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb with me, girl," Elder Marcus snapped. "There are forces in this world beyond our understanding. Forces that could destroy everything we hold dear if we're not vigilant." As the elder spoke, Femi felt a surge of anger rising within him. How dare this old man threaten Adana? How dare he speak of her as if she was some kind of monster? "There's nothing in the river that would harm us," Femi said, his voice stronger than he felt. "Maybe instead of looking for threats, we should be open to learning about the world beyond our village." A heavy silence fell over the group. Elder Marcus stared at Femi, his expression a mixture of surprise and suspicion. Chioma looked between her son and the elder, confusion written across her face. Finally, Elder Marcus stood, his joints creaking with the movement. "I see," he said, his voice cold. "Well, if that's how you feel, young man, perhaps you'd like to share your insights with the Council of Elders. Both of you," he added, glancing at Fumi. "Come to the village square at sundown. We'll get to the bottom of this." With that, he turned and left the compound, leaving the Okafor family in stunned silence. As soon as he was gone, Chioma rounded on her children. "What is going on?" she demanded. "What have you two gotten yourselves into?" Femi and Fumi exchanged a look. They had never kept secrets from their mother before, but how could they possibly explain this? "Mama," Fumi began cautiously, We've seen something in the river. Something beautiful and amazing. But we can't tell the elders about it. They wouldn't understand." Chioma's eyes widened. "What do you mean, you can't tell? This is serious, children. The elders are talking about threats to the village. You can't keep secrets at a time like this. Femi stood up, his face set with determination. Mama, please trust us. We would never do anything to put the village in danger. But we also can't betray a friend's trust. Please, just give us time to figure this out. Chioma looked at her son, seeing the earnestness in his eyes. She then turned to Fumi, who nodded in agreement with her brother. With a deep sigh, Chioma sat down heavily. "All right," she said. "I won't press you for details now, but you must be careful. The elders are not to be trifled with, and if they believe there's a threat..." "We know, Mama," Fumi said softly. "We'll be careful." As Chioma went back to her chores, muttering worriedly to herself, the twins slipped away to their room. "What are we going to do?" Fumi whispered urgently. "We can't tell the elders about Adana, but if we don't say something, they might send people to search the river." Femi paced the small room, his mind racing. "We need to warn her," he said. "We have to go back to the river before sundown." Fumi nodded. "But we can't both go. Mama will be watching us like a hawk now. I'll create a distraction, and you slip away." The plan set. They waited for their opportunity. It came sooner than expected when Mr. Patrick returned home, early from the school, complaining of a headache. As Chioma fussed over her husband and Fumi offered to make him some herbal tea, Femi seized his chance and snuck out of the compound. He ran to the river, his heart pounding with fear and urgency. When he reached the water's edge, he waded in without hesitation, swimming out to the deeper part where he had met Adana before. "Adana!" he called out, his voice echoing across the water. "Adana, please, if you can hear me, I need to talk to you." Mwah. For a long, terrible moment, there was no response. Then, with a gentle splash, Adana surfaced beside him. "Femi," she said, her brow furrowed with concern. "What's wrong? You sound upset." Quickly, Femi explained the situation. Elder Marcus's suspicions, the impending meeting with the Council of Elders, the potential danger to Adana and her people. Adana's face paled as she listened. "Oh, Femi," she whispered. "This is exactly what my father feared would happen. He always said humans couldn't be trusted, that they would destroy us if they knew of our existence." "Not all humans are like that," Femi insisted. "Fumi and I would never let anything happen to you. But you need to be careful. Tell your people to stay hidden, at least until we can figure out a way to make the elders understand." Adana nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I will. But Femi, what about us? Will I ever see you again?" The pain in her voice tore at Femi's heart. Without thinking, he reached out and took her hand. "Of course you will," he said fiercely. "I'll find a way. I promise." For a moment, they floated there, hand in hand, two souls from different worlds, united by a bond that defied explanation. Then, with a sad smile, Adana squeezed Femi's hand and disappeared beneath the water. As Femi swam back to shore, his mind was a whirlwind of emotions and half-formed plans. He knew that the meeting with the elders that evening would be crucial. Somehow, he and Fumi had to find a way to protect Adana without revealing her existence. Back at the compound, Fumi was anxiously waiting for him. "Did you warn her?" she whispered as soon as Femi slipped back into their room. Femi nodded. "She's going to tell her people to stay hidden. But Fumi, what are we going to tell the elders? We can't lie, but we can't tell the truth either." Fumi's brow furrowed in thought. Maybe Maybe we don't have to do either. What if we told them a story? Something that explains what we saw without revealing Adana's existence. As the twins huddled together, brainstorming ideas and rehearsing their story, the sun began its slow descent towards the horizon. In homes across the village, people whispered about the strange meeting called by the elders, wondering what could be so important. In his own home, Elder Marcus sat in contemplation, his weathered hands clasped before him. He thought of the stories his grandmother had told him, tales of magical creatures and ancient pacts between the land and sea. He thought of the strange scales found on the riverbank, and of the fear he had seen in young Femi's eyes. Whatever the cost, he murmured to himself, we must protect our people. As the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, the village square began to fill with curious onlookers. The air was thick with tension and speculation. Something was about to change in Mubi, something that would ripple out and touch every life in the village. In the Okafor compound, Chioma fussed over her children, straightening Femi's shirt and tucking a stray lock of hair behind Fumi's ear. "Remember your manners," she said, her voice tight with worry. "Speak respectfully to the elders. And please be careful with your words." Mr. Patrick, still nursing his headache, placed a hand on each of his children's shoulders. "Whatever is going on," he said solemnly, "know that we love you and we're here for you. Always." Femi and Fumi nodded, drawing strength from their parents' support. As they set off for the village square, they exchanged a determined look. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The crowd parted as the twins approached the center of the square, where the council of elders sat in a semicircle. Elder Marcus's eyes locked onto them immediately, his gaze sharp and unyielding. "Femi and Fumi Okafor," Elder Chidi intoned, his voice carrying across the now silent square. "You have been called here to address certain concerns about activities in our river. We ask that you speak truthfully and completely. The future of our village may depend on what you tell us tonight." Femi took a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon him. He glanced at Fumi, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. Then, squaring his shoulders, he began to speak. "Honorable elders," he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "We stand before you tonight, not as troublemakers or harbingers of danger, but as children of Mubi, who have been blessed with a glimpse of the magic that exists in our world." As Femi wove their carefully crafted tale, a story of mysterious lights and beautiful music heard beneath the water, of fleeting glimpses of something wonderful, yet unknowable, the crowd listened in rapt attention. He spoke of ancient legends and the importance of respecting the mysteries of nature, carefully skirting around any direct mention of Adana or her people. Fumi chimed in at key moments, adding details and supporting her brother's narrative. Together, they painted a picture of a river that was not a source of danger, but a place of wonder and potential enlightenment for those who approached it with open hearts and minds. As they finished their story, a hushed murmur swept through the crowd. The elders leaned in, conferring in low voices. Elder Marcus's face was inscrutable, his eyes never leaving the twins. Finally, Elder Chidi raised a hand for silence. "Femi, Fumi," he said, his voice grave, "you have given us much to consider. Your tale is fantastic, to say the least. Some might even call it unbelievable." Femi felt his heart sink, but before he could speak, another voice rang out from the crowd. "I believe them. All heads turned to see Mr. Patrick pushing his way to the front, Chioma close behind him. "Honourable elders," he said, standing tall, despite the pain evident on his face. "I have known my children all their lives. They are not liars or troublemakers. If they say they have seen something magical in our river, then I believe them." "As do I," Chioma added, her voice ringing with maternal pride. "Our children have always had open hearts and curious minds. Perhaps it is time for all of us to open our eyes to the wonders that surround us." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Other villagers began to speak up, sharing their own stories of strange sights and sounds by the river, of feelings of peace and wonder they had experienced on its banks. The elders listened, their faces a mixture of confusion and contemplation. Finally, Elder Marcus stood, raising his hands for silence. "People of Mubi," he said, his voice carrying the weight of his years, "we have much to discuss and decide. For now, let us all return to our homes and reflect on what we have heard tonight. Femi, Fumi," he added, fixing the twins with a penetrating stare. "Do not think this matter is settled. We will have more questions for you in the days to come." As the crowd began to disperse, Femi and Fumi found themselves surrounded by their parents and curious villagers, all eager to hear more about their experiences. In the commotion, Femi managed to catch Fumi's eye. They shared a small secret smile. They had bought some time, but both knew that their challenges were far from over. As they made their way home, the stars twinkling overhead and the sound of the river a constant presence in the background, Femi's thoughts turned to Adana. He hoped she was safe, that her people understood the need for caution, and he wondered, with a mixture of hope and fear, what the coming days would bring. Little did he know that beneath the dark waters of the river, another drama was unfolding, one that would soon collide with the world above in ways no one could have predicted. In the underwater kingdom of the merfolk, Adana swam nervously through the coral-lined corridors of the royal palace. Schools of colourful fish darted out of her way as she passed, sensing her agitation. She had just returned from warning her people about the potential danger from the surface world, and now she had to face the most difficult task of all, telling her father, King Oban, about her interactions with humans. The throne room was a vast cavern, its walls glowing with bioluminescent algae that cast everything in ethereal blue light. King Oban, his powerful tail a deep sapphire blue, sat upon a throne of carved stone coral. His face, lined with the wisdom of centuries, was stern as he watched his daughter approach. "Adana," he said, his deep voice echoing through the water, "I have heard disturbing reports. The surface dwellers are becoming suspicious. Some of our people claim they saw you near the surface, speaking with humans. Tell me this is not true." Adana felt her heart racing, but she forced herself to meet her father's gaze. "Father," she began, her voice trembling slightly. I have made contact with 2 humans, but they are not like the others. They are kind and curious, and they want to protect us." "Enough!" King Oban roared, causing the water around them to vibrate with the force of his anger. "You have put our entire kingdom at risk with your foolishness. From this moment on, you are forbidden from going to the surface. Guards will be posted to ensure you comply. And as for these humans..." His eyes narrowed dangerously. "Perhaps it is time we reminded them why they should fear the depths." As Adana was led away, tears streaming down her face and dissolving into the salty water around her, She knew she had to find a way to warn Femi. Somehow, she had to prevent a war between their two worlds. A war that, if it came, would destroy everything and everyone she loved. The days following the village meeting were tense in Mubi. Whispered conversations ceased abruptly when Femi or Fumi walked by, and curious glances followed them wherever they went. The twins tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, helping their mother at the market and assisting their father at the school. But the weight of their secret hung heavy on their shoulders. Femi, in particular, was struggling. Every moment he could spare, he snuck down to the river, hoping to catch a glimpse of Adana. But the water remained still and silent, with no sign of the beautiful mermaid who had captured his heart. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, Fumi found her brother sitting by the river's edge, his eyes fixed on the gently flowing water. "Femi," she said softly, sitting down beside him. "You can't keep doing this. People are starting to talk." Femi sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I can't help it, Fumi. It's been days. What if something's happened to her? What if her people found out about us and... Fumi put a comforting arm around her brother's shoulders. "We have to believe she's okay. Adana's smart and resourceful. She'll find a way to contact us if she can." As they sat there, drawing comfort from each other's presence, a sudden disturbance in the water caught their attention. A sleek, silvery form broke the surface, and for a moment, Femi's heart leapt with hope. But as the figure drew closer, they realized it wasn't Adana at all, but another mermaid, older with a stern face and eyes that gleamed with barely concealed hostility. "You are the humans who have been consorting with Princess Adana," the mermaid said, her voice as cold as the depths from which she came. Femi and Fumi exchanged a startled glance. Princess? They hadn't known Adana was royalty. "We're her friends," Femi said cautiously. "Is she all right? We've been worried about her." The mermaid's eyes narrowed. "Princess Adana is confined to the palace by order of King Oban. Your friendship has put our entire kingdom at risk. I am here to deliver a warning. Stay away from the river. Forget about Adana and the things you've seen. If humans continue to pry into our affairs, we will have no choice but to defend ourselves." With that ominous declaration, the mermaid disappeared beneath the waves, leaving Femi and Fumi stunned and fearful. "We have to do something," Femi said, his voice tight with worry. "We can't just leave Adana trapped down there. And if her people attack the village?" Fumi nodded grimly. "But what can we do? We're just two people, and we don't even know how to reach their underwater kingdom." As they debated their options, they were unaware that they were being watched. Elder Marcus, who had taken to patrolling the riverbank in the evenings, had witnessed the entire exchange from the shadows of a nearby tree. His worst fears confirmed, he turned and hurried back to the village, his mind racing with plans. Meanwhile, in the underwater palace, Adana was pacing her chambers, her tail swishing agitatedly. She had been trying for days to find a way to contact Femi, to warn him of the growing danger, but the guards outside her door made escape impossible. A soft knock interrupted her brooding. "Enter!" she called out, expecting another lecture from one of her father's advisors. To her surprise, it was her younger brother, Prince Dio, who swam into the room. Unlike Adana, who took after their mother with her warm brown skin and dark hair, Dio had inherited their father's paler complexion and shock of white blonde hair. "Sister," Dio said, his young face creased with worry. I've just come from a meeting of the War Council. Father is planning an attack on the human village. He says it's the only way to ensure our safety. Adana felt her blood run cold. No, she whispered. Dio, we have to stop this. The humans in that village aren't a threat to us. My friends, Femi and Fumi, they would never betray our secret. Dio looked torn. But Father says all humans are dangerous. That they'll hunt us and destroy our home if they find out about us. Not all humans are the same, Adana insisted. Just like not all merfolk are the same. Please, Dio, you have to help me. I need to warn Femi and Fumi. Maybe if I can get them to talk to Father, to show him that humans can be trusted. Dio hesitated, clearly conflicted. Finally he sighed. I don't know if I believe you about the humans, Adana, but I don't want a war either. What do you need me to do?
Write the word, continue in the comment section if you want the next part, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Kindly click the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this video. Watch out for more intriguing and eye-catching videos from your favorite YouTube channel.